In the previous class, I briefly introduced the sampling process. So this is a continuous time signal or analog signal. So if you multiply this continuous time signal x of t with a Dirac form, we can obtain this signal. Okay? So this s of t is called the sample version of the continuous time signal. So here this s of t is the discrete time version of the continuous time signal x of t. So that's why we call this as the DT signal. That is, the discrete time signal can be obtained by sampling a continuous time signal. Okay. Here, the sampling interval or the sampling period is Ts, which is the spacing between the samples. Okay. Spacing between the samples is called as sampling interval or sampling period, and the reciprocal of the sampling interval is called as the sampling rate. Okay. So here we used the shifting property of the impulse function and we obtained this S of as this function. Okay. So from this summation we have drawn this particular S of by, or otherwise it is very clear. See, in between these two, what is the value here? P of t value is 0. So 0 into something is 0. Okay. And this is multiplied with this amplitude. So this is constant amplitude, but this is varying. Okay. So definitely, if you multiply a constant with a varying function, definitely the resultant will also vary. Okay. So that's why we are, if you observe this dotted line is same as that of the continuous time signal. Follow? So we have taken the samples at the rate of fs by the process of sampling. And according to the sampling theorem, any continuous time signal that is band limited can be represented by the samples that are taken at the rate of fs. And from the knowledge of these samples, we can reconstruct this original signal back by transmitting the sample signal through a low pass filter. Okay. Now we see how can we do this. So for that, we transform all these equations or all these waveforms into frequency domain. So this is the time domain representation. Okay. So here the continuous time signal x of t is represented as a function of time. This is also represented as a function of time, and this also represented as a function of time. So if you transform these equations into frequency domain, in the frequency domain we can easily show that we can reconstruct the signal x of t from s of t. Understood? So let this Fourier transform of x of t is x of a, and the Fourier transform of p of t is p of a. We already know that in the frequency domain we use the capital letters, and in the time domain we use the lowercase letters. And let s of t has the Fourier transform that is denoted as s of a. Fourier transform of x of t is x of f. Fourier transform of p of t is p of f, and okay. What is x of t here? X of t is selected arbitrarily. So that's why we are letting the Fourier transform of x of t is given as this x of f. A signal x of t is said to be band limited. If the Fourier transform of x of t is non-zero over a finite band of frequency. Here, the Fourier transform of x of t is x of x. This is equivalent to, that is, this is not equivalent to 0 for a finite band of frequencies. That may be from some minus fm to plus fm, where this fm is the highest frequency component that present in the signal. Okay, x of f is not equivalent to 0 from minus fm to plus fm. In the remaining interval, it is 0. So this will be 0 otherwise. So if this condition is satisfied, the signal x of t is said to be a band limited. Understood this? That is, the signal has some spectral content or it has some frequency component. Okay. If the frequency components are limited to a particular band of frequency, then the signal is said to be band limited. That is, the Fourier transform of x of t is x of x. What is the Fourier transform of x of t? Is called is the frequency spectrum. Okay. The frequency spectrum of x of t is non-zero for a finite band of frequencies. Then the signal is said to be a band limited signal. Okay. Now we assume this x of t is a band limited signal. Why band limiting? I will explain later. Okay. If the signal is not band limited, what will happen? Okay. That we will see later. First, we concentrate on the proof of the sampling theory. So, for that purpose, we let this is x of x. So here the frequency spectrum is non-zero over a finite band of frequency. So for simplicity, you select this is the shape of the frequency spectrum. That is, the Fourier transform of x of t is like this. So the frequency spectrum, okay, the magnitude spectrum. Why I selected that shape? It is easy to draw. Okay. It may be like this also. Okay. Here also it is non-zero from minus fm to plus fm, or it may be some other shape like this. Okay. Or it may be something different. Okay. You can select any shape. As x of t is not known to us. If x of t is known to you, you can exactly draw the frequency spectrum. But here, x of t is an arbitrary signal, so that's why I selected some arbitrary shape. Okay. It's not the triangle. Okay. We just consider it as some arbitrary shape because we are assuming the signal x of t is band limited. Okay. Now, what is the Fourier transform of this P of t? What is P of t? P of t is equivalent to sigma some k equivalent to minus infinity to plus infinity x of k into Ts delta of t minus at. Sorry, only this is not. This is delta of t minus, that is the P of t. It is the impulse train or periodic impulse train. Okay. Now find the Fourier transform of this. What is the Fourier transform? How can you find the Fourier transform? So it is a periodic function. Is it? So if it is periodic, how can you represent this P of t? First find the Fourier series representation of it. So this P of t can also be written as sigma some k equivalent to minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay. This is k e power j2 pi f naught into t. What is this? Fourier series representation. The Fourier series representation of a period. See, here P of t is periodic signal. Fourier series representation of the periodic signal is given by minus infinity to plus infinity ck e power j omega naught t. Okay. So instead of omega naught, I have written 2 pi f naught. Understood? What is ck here? Ck is 1 by t naught. Okay. What is t naught here? So can I write this as, instead of writing it as f naught, can I write it as fs? Why? Because this fs equivalent to 1 by ts. Actually it is e power j omega s t. What is j omega s? Omega s is 2 pi by ts. Okay. So 2 pi by ts can be written as 2 pi fs. Okay, that's what I have. So it is 1 by ts into integral over one period. Okay, that is minus ts by 2 plus ts by 2 over a period. This is p of t e power minus j2 pi fs into t. This is called the complex Fourier coefficient. See, if the periodic signal is given, we can represent the periodic signal by the complex Fourier series. We have two representations. One is the trigonometric Fourier series and another is the complex Fourier series. Okay. So this is the complex Fourier series representation. See, the complex Fourier series representation is the one way of representing the Fourier series. Don't think that the trigonometric Fourier series and the complex Fourier series are different. Both are same. Okay. The way that we represent is different. In the case of trigonometric Fourier series, what we write? A naught plus sigma k equivalent to 1 to infinity ak cos omega naught t plus bk sin omega naught. Right? By using the Euler identity, we can obtain this expression. Is it? What is p of t in the interval minus, this is 1 by ts minus ts by 2, the plus ts by 2. You see this slide. See, this is p of t. Is it? What is this value? This value. See, this is minus ts, this is 0. Definitely this will be minus ts by 2. This is plus ts by 2. Minus ts by 2 to plus ts by 2. What is p of t? P of t equivalent to this much. Is it? What is that? This is delta of t. Is it? Are you following? So therefore, can I replace this p of t as delta of t from minus ts by 2 to plus ts by 2, p of t equivalent to delta. So this is e power minus j2 pi fs into t dt. Now what is this value? What is this integral evaluates? This integral evaluates to that integral evaluates. There is one property of the impulse. Okay. Integral minus infinity to plus infinity delta of t f of t dt is equivalent to f of 0. Is that right? This is an important property of the impulse function. What we call this property? Sampling property of delta of t. It's not the sampling theorem. The sampling property of the impulse function. How we obtained it? See, in the previous class, we have this delta of t into f of t minus t naught is equivalent to how much? This is delta of t, sorry, from f of t into delta of t minus t naught can be written as f of t naught into delta of t minus t naught. Okay. Here if t naught equivalent to 0, then f of t delta of t is equivalent to f of t naught into delta of t. Okay. Is it right? F of where? Here. Yeah. Is it right? Now integrate on both sides from minus infinity to plus infinity. Then what you will get? Integral minus infinity to plus infinity. Integrate with respect to dt is f of t delta of t dt is equivalent to, see what is f of 0? See, f of 0 is the value of f of t at t equivalent to 0. Definitely f of 0 is a constant, is it, some value. Therefore, that f of 0 can be taken out and integral minus infinity to plus infinity delta of t dt. Is it right? Integrate on both sides and bring this f of 0 outside because f of 0 is a constant. F of 0 is the value of f of t at t equivalent to 0. What is the area under impulse function? 1. So therefore, integral minus infinity to plus infinity delta of t dt indicates the area under impulse function. Area under impulse function is 1. Therefore, integral minus infinity to plus infinity f of t delta of t dt is equivalent to f of 0. That's what I have written here. Understood? Now, what is this value? See, it is from minus ts by 2 to plus ts by 2. Okay. So, delta of t e power minus j2 pi fs t dt. This integral evaluates to 1 e power 0. Therefore, this is equivalent to 1 by why I have written this as 1 by t here? Because we can split this integral into 3. Okay, one is from minus infinity to minus ts by 2 to minus ts by 2 to plus ts by 2 and plus ts by 2 to plus infinity. The two extreme integrals will become 0 because over that interval delta of t is becoming 0. Okay. So delta of t is non-zero at t equivalent to 0. So here in this integral minus ts by 2 to plus ts by 2, the t equivalent to 0 is included. Therefore, we can write that this integral evaluates to 1. So therefore, this is 1 by t. Understood? Now you substitute this value here. We obtain the Fourier coefficient. You substitute the ck value here. Then what you get is p of t is equivalent to 1 by ts sigma k equivalent to minus infinity to plus infinity. This is e power j2 pi fs into, is it right? Now take the Fourier transformation on both sides. Then the Fourier transform of p of t is equivalent to 1 by ts into Fourier transform of this minus infinity to plus infinity, so e power j2 pi fs into t. Any doubt? This is 1 by ts. Can I write this as minus infinity to